Hello, everybody. Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology, and I am here with the week ahead forecast beginning September the 15th right through till September the 22nd. 2 weeks ago, I did a 2 week ahead forecast, but I'm going to be back on weekly, uh, pretty much. Might be one more 2 week coming up because I've got the OPA retreat, the organization for professional astrology. They are holding a fabulous event, or they call it a retreat in Park City, Utah. And I am facilitating a peer group. So if you are a practicing astrologer and would love to pursue OPA certification, uh, ask me about it. Come join me in Park City. We have a day full of amazing speakers, and then all the attendees at the conference go off and do either a track or a peer group, or there's various options. And I love Oprah retreats. That was my first ever astrology conference. And well, it's my favorite organization, and that's why I am a peer group leader and a mentor for OPA. It just really wants to produce good professional astrologers and not based really on exams, but more upon how you work. So come join us. Anyway, let's move on with the week ahead. This is take two because my mouse died and I was like, oh no. I tried to splice copies and it didn't work. So I'm doing another one. So you get it, a do-over. So here we are. I'm recording this on September the 14th, but we're looking ahead to September the 15th to start, but let's kind of get ourselves placed a little bit with where we're at. So you can see that the moon's nodes are now at 6 degrees, Aries and Libra, the south node in Libra. The nodes are moving out of Libra and Aries in January and back into Virgo and Pisces. I've done a couple of videos on that and talked about that. But I use the osculating or true calculation of the nodes, which means they kind of move back and forth a little bit in the calculation because the nodes are the point where the moon crosses the ecliptic. The true calculation shows when the nodes stand still, that we're in eclipse season. So the nodes are going to sit at 6 degrees, Aries and Libra, for the duration of the eclipse season. And yes, we have an eclipse this week. Other things to note are that Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, even though Uranus is kind of moving further back, are in now in this mini grand trine that is going to be ongoing as all of those three planets change signs over the next few months. Pluto has already moved into Aquarius. This is the last dip back into Earth sign Capricorn. He will be in Capricorn until November the 19th, and that's the last time in this sign in our lifetime. And so you can see this mini grand trine building. And as I invite you, as you look at things like these forecasts, to see these lines thicken and then weaken as but it's all going to be big when they move into Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini. So they're moving from earth and water into fire and air. So you'll see that this kind of stays in play the whole time. And these three outer planets are just speaking to each other the whole time, bringing us this big shift. And because they're all at the end degrees of the signs, we are finishing up some very long journeys. Pluto is the first one that is finishing up the journey through Capricorn that began in 2008. So I'm not going to talk about all of that now, but I just want you to kind of tune in and see that these are all at these endings of signs, okay, which is very significant. Jupiter is not turning retrograde yet, but is just a degree away from the retrograde degree where he turns retrograde on October the 9th, so really not far away. We're still in Virgo season. The sun is in Virgo at the start of this week. And you can also see 20 degrees, 22 degrees, 20 degrees. These are all speaking to each other too. And you can see this cardinal grand cross that we start the week with, as Mars squares the nodes and comes up to oppose Ceres. And so this is another initiating cardinal grand cross, kind of pushing change, but it's tense. It's like, change is just being demanded, but it's because it's such a or cardinal grand cross or square, because it's so dynamic. It's really kind of tense that nobody wants to move, but change is being forced, right? So, all right. So let's dive into the actions then. But before I do, again, check out the Oprah retreat below. I'll put it in the description. I'd love you to join me. I've got just this one space left in my peer group for somebody to come and join us. Got a lovely group of people in it. There's only 5 of us, including me, in the group. That's why it's a peer group. I'm not running it or teaching. I'm taking part in it too. Anyway, um, yeah, and don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, all those kind of things. And also don't forget my Substack below. I do my writing in Substack as well. So, all right. So today, aspects, September the 15th, because we are looking at September the 15th. The first aspect, early in the morning, is a lovely exact trine that's already in play between Venus in her home sign of Libra and Jupiter in Gemini. Air signs, lots of ideas, lots of expansive ideas, lots of sociability, lots of hope and optimism. This is a lovely trying to kind of start the week, and it is a much nicer week. All right, so just know that. Then later in the day, in fact, 10:25 p.m. Eastern, I always use Eastern time, Mars will exactly square the nodes. Now, I did a whole video on Mars' journey through Cancer where I talk about it more, but this is a dynamic square. Mars is moving then towards the south node, the releasing end, kind of the past, what we're moving away from. And we are moving, to my mind, we cannot separate it from this opposition to Ceres that is also happening this week. This is kind of saying we're getting this renewed drive to safety and security and to looking after each other and taking care of each other's unmet needs and really kind of moving towards our part in it and to creating more balance and harmony and justice. But as I said, it's tense, you know. But Mars rules that north node. Mars, the Aries north node, is what's my part in being the change that we want to see in the world. We've all been on this journey of kind of finding out who we are now in this new emerging paradigm. And this is saying, Mars in Cancer is the sensitive warrior. Mars in Cancer is easily triggered, but it's also the sensitive warrior that's saying, let's take care of each other. Let's start caring again. All right. So, this is, I really maintain that we are moving overall in the right direction. On to the 16th. All right. So on the 16th, we did start the week with the moon in Aquarius. I talk about all the lunar aspects in my daily Substack blog for paid subscribers. But on the 16th, on Monday, the moon will finish in Aquarius and then move into Pisces for a couple of days. But the biggest aspect on the 16th is Venus again, still under the beams of Jupiter, who is slowing down a little bit, but not quite in the realm in the zone of turning retrograde from our perspective. But I don't know if this pops up for you on the screen, but you can see his speed is slow. He's slowing down. So that means Jupiter's impact is slower. So this is still in this aspect to Venus, even though it's moving apart, but Venus comes up and opposes Chiron. Now, what I find really interesting about this opposition and all of this really is that in on January the 12th, 2020, we had a massive conjunction of Sun, Mercury, Ceres, Saturn, and Pluto, all at 22 degrees Capricorn. It was the start of the pandemic. It was the start of, it was another presidential campaign where, who lost, and we had all the insurrection in the US, and though, look back for yourself at what was happening for you in that time. And this opposition and Chiron, and every time Chiron is aspected, is squaring that degree. And Chiron is the key to healing. I really think we are moving into this more healing space, okay, of what's my part? Let's be more loving towards each other, more loving towards ourselves as well, forgiving for if we made mistakes. That's also Ceres' role in this dance over here. Forgive yourself, forgive others, if people come around. Let's stop the separation. And I really think we are moving into a time of coming more together. Um, I see it happening too, um, everywhere. September the 17th, Tuesday. That is the eclipse day, and the eclipse is not until late at night. So I'm actually just going to move to early on the 18th. So the eclipse on Eastern time is at 10:34 p.m. Eastern on the 17th. So for many of you, it will be the 18th. So you can see that they're just a degree apart here. I'm not going to change it to get the exact um, eclipse chart because I've done a whole podcast on that as well. But you can see on the 18th that we have the eclipse. It's a full moon eclipse, conjunct Neptune. I've already mentioned that Neptune is in this mini grand trine dance with Uranus and Pluto, and this is forming a kite over the next couple of days after this to the Virgo sun. And this is an Earth grand trine, which is also very healing, and it's pointing at Neptune and the moon on the eclipse, which is saying step into this higher love, step into this interconnectedness with all that is each other, the collective unconscious, move into this birthing something new, making radical changes. All of those things are really highlighted. On Also on the 18th, a little bit after that, Mercury over here, Mercury in their own sign Virgo opposes retrograde Saturn in Pisces. And really, this is looking at what limiting beliefs, what self-limiting beliefs have we let go of, but also with Saturn being really the kind of man-made rules and kind of dominant, the patriarchy, if for want of a better word, with Saturn being retrograde there, what's been revealed? What clouds have parted? Now Mercury in Virgo is going to want to make sense of this, really start to get to the filing cabinet and the details, but also think of how you can be more meaningful and more useful in everything that's going on, playing your part. Okay, so that's a powerful opposition on September the 18th. Then you see the moon finishes up in Pisces and will move into Aries. Early on September the 18th at 5:23 a.m. Eastern to be precise. Okay, now on to the 19th. Venus, okay, yeah, I am on the right day. Let's move to Venus is moving pretty fast now, right? Okay, so because we're in Venus, we had the new star point on June the 4th. Venus is moving at her fastest to start slowing down to go retrograde early next year when I'll run my famous Venus retrograde class. But right now, Venus in her home sign next opposes Eris, the apple, the who is the fairest, showing up unfairness. She's the truth teller. She stirs things up. She stirs the pot. This is in the sign of, action, but also the divine masculine and the divine feminine, if you like, in a way. There's going to be kind of a lot. I feel like this opposition is bringing more of this fighting for our rights kind of energy up in a huge way, fighting for justice, fighting for autonomy though in Aries, like bodily autonomy, don't you don't control me, you don't put me in the corner, all of that kind of energy. So, and also on the 19th, we also have the sun coming up to 27 degrees, and you can look at this kite again. The sun actually trines Uranus, which recently stated, and is also moving pretty slow still because he's, not moved off the degree that he turned retrograde at. This could bring some more kind of aha moments or some kind of surprises, and kind of it could also be a little bit Earth movie. I do have to say, I didn't kind of warn everybody about that, but uh, it's hurricane season, and I haven't actually even looked at the weather app at the moment. I have no idea because my friend's been visiting what's going on in the world weather-wise. But let me have a quick look. Any storms and so on that are out there. Doesn't seem to be many. This is um, but they could kind of be released from under. So there's something building in the Atlantic. I believe there was kind of a mudslide as well in LA. This is all earth and water. And under an eclipse, especially an eclipse conjunct Neptune, and that um, forms this kite with the earth signs and water, there could be earth and water events. Okay, so, could be flooding, could be, but where, depends on where all this is hitting in the world. But just know, that we're still under the eclipse really all week. And with the sun moving then to trine Uranus and then Pluto, they could be like earth moving events, literal and metaphorical. So just know that. Even though it's a kinder configuration, that's a lot of energy. Okay. September the 20th. So the moon will finish up in Aries and move into Taurus for a couple of days, and then the sun will come up and exactly oppose Neptune. And by that time, the moon will be moving towards Uranus and aspecting all of this. So again, if you are in the path of any big storms, like actual weather storms, please heed warnings and things. It could be quite big, but there could be sudden events as well. This is a very kind of earth-moving event, but it's also got that healing and kind of coming together kind of quality. So everything has its yin and yang. On to the 21st. But for you, by the way, with the sun opposing Neptune, that is like, how can I be useful and, bring this more sense of interconnectedness with all that is down to earth in a useful and meaningful way. Okay. Especially if you have planets around 28 degrees of the mutable signs. My ascendant. Anyway, on the 21st, Mercury again will come up and trine, sorry, and square Jupiter, not trine. And this is in these mutable signs, Mercury, both Mercury's signs. Jupiter's slowing down now to station retrograde on October the 9th. Not in the zone, as I said, but this is really about more of that changing perceptions, being open to new ideas, but it's also got this kind of more optimistic feel that we can find the right work and the right way to bring the changes that we want to see. Okay, so um, on to the 22nd, which will be mostly next week, but I just kind of want to give you a little look ahead. You can see that very late at night next Saturday, going into Sunday morning, the 22nd, the moon comes to Uranus, and we are still in the eclipse tunnel where, because we have the lunar eclipse, then we'll have a new moon eclipse. And look how tight this kite is. I remember I said the lines kind of get thicker. Okay, and then the moon activates Uranus, and then, of course, will activate all the other aspects of this kite. So overnight, next Saturday, Sunday, the moon is only 60 degrees from where it was at the full moon eclipse. So it's still activating all of that energy. That's also kind of earth moving energy when the moon is in Taurus and really activates all of those parts. So you can see that the moon will conjunct Uranus, will sextile Neptune, then will trine um, both the Sun and Pluto, as the Sun and Pluto come to trine each other too. So again, a very big day. Okay, so the Sun and Pluto will not. Oh, the Sun and Pluto will trine each other exactly at 2:11 a.m. And then the moon will activate all that before the moon moves into Gemini too. And the moon will come up and trine the sun. So, that kite is really tight. Okay, very tight on next weekend, overnight moving into Sunday. So I will probably mention this again next week, but that's how it is. All right, so I'm going to pull three cards, and I didn't do my usual taking a photograph. So I'm actually going to just stop the share. But instead of using the Light Seers Tarot, which I've been using, it's eclipse season. So I felt called to use my favorite deck, the Thoth Tarot, or Thoth, Thoth. Whoops, you see it. This was is the Crowley deck. A lot of people don't like it, but I love it. It always has spoke to me the first moment I got one in my hands. So I'm going to pull three cards for the week ahead. But while I do this, I want to thank you all for all your comments, your likes, your subscribes. I want to thank all my followers for, all your support. And but if you aren't already subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Mm. Oh, I like the cards too. So I am just going to read as well because you should know I write books too. The Complete Guide to Tarot and Astrology, my third book. Okay, so the first card I got is actually the Virgo card, and we've got the Sun in Virgo, although the Sun will move into Libra next Sunday, the 22nd. But this is the Ten of Pentacles. This is fulfillment, family foundations, family success, and abundance. Okay, this is actually the Mercury in Virgo card when we have Mercury in Virgo. So a good idea under this full moon eclipse and this week would be to actually kind of write a gratitude list for all the things you're grateful for, all the abundance and fulfillment in your life. Okay, so but this is a great card to start the week. Okay. And then, interestingly, these cards, they just always do it right. Okay, so, but I want to 18. I actually got, where is it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, Pisces eclipse, and we got the moon card with the moon in Pisces. And this is the Pisces card. And this is really about intuition, subconscious, your dreams, illusion, but can be fear as well, the shadow of the Pisces eclipse. But this is really kind of asking you to step into your intuition and inner knowing and understanding and that real kind of interconnectedness of all that is. Okay, so just look at that. Interestingly, this moon shape is above. Look, see the shape in the middle between the moon and this symbol below. This is kind of what the eclipse shape is like. I talked about that on my eclipse video. It's the Vesica Pisces. We are birthing something very major right now. Then the last card I pulled is the universe or the world. This is completion, success, achievement, fulfillment, and accomplishment. And this is actually the Saturn card. Can you believe it? It's because Saturn really is, we've reached this point. This is achievement. This is what we're building now. So I'll let you look at the images and soak them up yourself and just go, wow, we've come through this really awful time, but we are really kind of coming out of it and we've really done something good now that we're pulling together as a whole. All right, my loves. Well, I will see you next week.